Now look at us. We rising up. You don't really know I shine. Me, I got something that I need to prove. I cannot lose, nah. Everything I do that really is news. You look confused, why? You are what you choosing to do. Me, I've been making the moves, paying my dues, getting this done with the fam. Y'all know that I am the dude. Bend that low, hit that high, got that hustle, got that drive. One more time, best alive. I want it all, everything mine.
All right, y'all, welcome back to the Football Forecast, man. We got a huge slate today. It is Football Sunday, Week 7. There's a lot of money to be made, y'all. A lot of money. I'm telling you, it's probably pretty dangerous how confident I feel like I'm seeing the board this week. So obviously, if I'm seeing the board, I want y'all to see the board. So in this episode, man, we're going to go through every single game this weekend. Obviously, I didn't get to put out a video before Thursday, but man, it just feels so good to be back. Last week, I had my son's 4th birthday party. So obviously, man, I had to do it big. I spent a couple days planning that. And then shortly after that, man, I was under the weather. I was down for like 5 days. Honestly, I was a little bit disconnected from football. Kind of got behind on the waiver wires in my fantasy leagues. But anyways, baby, we are back in action. And I tell you what, let's take some money from Vegas, man. Bet smart.
I'm leaving, there ain't nothing better than the West Side, that's and right. I'm like, ooh, we on the map, we get the bag, and they run it back. And I'm like, ooh, we on the map, we get the bag, and they run it back. And I'm like, ooh,
All right, so I got Week 7's picks pulled up, and by no means am I telling you that these are going to happen. I'm not telling you to risk your mortgage, your marriage, your children. Not doing that. But if you just so happen to have a little change burning in your pocket, I'm telling you, swinging a high bat right now. All right. So the first game of the week was obviously the Saints and the Broncos. Okay. My biggest regret was getting sidetracked because when I looked at this number and saw that it was -2.5 ATS, I thought that was just asinine. Okay. The Saints were literally rolling out a rookie quarterback, a complete second squad. They look like the damn replacements out there, okay? It looked like a preseason football team. And the Broncos, I mean, everything was in their favor, man. You had the Sean Payton returning to New Orleans, man. They had Drew Brees there, man. Just all the feel-goods were there. Bo Nix, first of all, his press conferences are hilarious. If you've not seen them, man, go check out some clips of Bo Nix press conferences, especially after bad games. The dude is comedy. But I just knew that -2.5 was not it. I am so pissed off that I got sidetracked because I wanted to jack the alt spread on this game. And this is another little tip for you guys. If you think that a number is way off, don't just move the needle all the way up. Turn it into a ladder, okay? Use the alt spread lines to turn it into a ladder bet, okay? If you're seeing a -2.5 and you're thinking, no way, this team's going to kill them, like I thought the Broncos would kill the Saints, and they did, move your first step to -5.5 and then -8.5. Do little 3-point increments, 2-point increments even, okay? And then bet them all individually. And just like a ladder, the bigger the margins, the more the money, okay? And all you need is the first couple to hit and you're good. But man, I wanted to jack this all the way up to 20 points. They ended up winning by 24, I think. So that was an easy play, man. And I hope the rest of them are that easy. I really do. So the very first game that's going to happen today, the Jaguars are in London back-to-back weeks. This time, they're hosting the Patriots, man. Drake May's coming in. It's only his second start as a rookie. Somewhat, honestly, impressive performance last week from Drake May. He definitely looks a hell of a lot better than Jacoby Brissett, which doesn't make really much sense. Jacoby Brissett looks like a shell of himself. I don't know how you play 5 games and you only throw 2 touchdowns, and I think it's 5 or 7 picks. Something stupid, but I know he only threw 2 touchdowns in 5 games, and that's ridiculous. As of right now, they're only averaging like 100 150 passing yards a game, maybe even like 130, I think. The Patriots are just god-awful in the passing game. The spread on this game, the Jaguars, when I pulled the line up, they were sitting at -6, okay? The over-under was at 42. I think I got it at 41.5. And the Patriots are the money line dog at plus 210. I do not like the Patriots to win this game at all. Matter of fact, I think that the -6 number is wrong as well. I think that this could get ugly and get out of hand quick for a couple reasons. Number one, the Patriots just really don't have a consistent offense. Their tight ends have kind of been in and out. Their wide receivers come and go. Man, that Douglas cat looks good, but honestly, man, Jalen Polk hasn't really, panned out yet. He's young, obviously. He's a rookie. Kendrick Bourne, he is what he is. They just don't have a lot of weapons. Their best weapon in the passing game, other than Douglas, is obviously Hunter Henry, but he's, like I said, in and out. So that's a part of it, man. Ramondre Stevenson looked good, then he doesn't. And Antonio Gibson, is he kind of, getting more involved? Is he not? You really just don't know. But the biggest reason that I'm picking the Jaguars, and I think Doug Peterson's going to be one of the next coaches fired, okay? His back's against the wall, and this really just boils down to, is it so bad in Jacksonville, London in this sense? And a lot of coaches don't make it back from London. Look at what happened to Robert Saleh. But the biggest reason that I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars is that this is their second consecutive week in London. And while that might seem like a little bit of a disadvantage being that far away from home that long, they didn't have to travel. They didn't have to change 4 or 5 time zones. They're already there. They're established. They're comfortable at this point. The Patriots traveled late in the week. Okay, you've got a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback making their very first appearance in a morning game in London. And then you couple all that with the fact that their offense is just much more explosive, okay? And the Patriots defense started off pretty good, but if you look at the numbers now, man, they're not good against the pass. They're not good against the run. This could be an absolute smash spot right here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I took the under on the 41.5. That is mostly due to the ineptitude of the Patriots offense, but I do fear that there's a chance that the Jaguars could score about 35, 36 themselves. If that happens, I'm fucked. But I'm really thinking that this is probably going to be more of like a 30-9 type of game. I really do. I wouldn't be shocked if the Patriots don't score a touchdown. The 1 o'clock slate, man, the first one I've got listed here is the Falcons. They're at home against the Seahawks. This is always kind of and as a Falcons fan, I feel like everybody's their kryptonite just because I've seen it happen over and over and over. But, man, I'm starting to believe in these Falcons a little bit more and more each week. I've faded them the last couple weeks. I didn't bet them. I lost money betting against my favorite team. Don't do that shit, man. Believe in your squad. I've stopped betting on Kentucky. I really don't like betting on teams that I'm a fan of. But the Falcons are laying 3 points. The over-under on this game is 51.5. And the Seahawks are obviously the money line road dogs at plus 130. This is not a game that I'm necessarily locking up. I'm going to bet it, but I'm not going to double up. Typically, whatever I bet on a normal spread, if I consider it like a lock, I'll double it. And I've got a few locks, including this game, but it's not the spread, it's the over-under, man. I really think that this game's going to go over 51.5. Both of these offenses, aerial attack, look explosive. I know Kenneth Walker's still banged up. He's dealing with shit, but Zach Charbonnet is a very quality backup. But they probably have one of, if not the best wide receiver core in the National Football League, and Geno Smith looks good. The Falcons in no way, shape, or form look like the Steel Curtain, man. They don't look like the Seahawks defense with Richard Sherman and the boys. So I think that it could be a little bit of a shootout. I wish that this number had fallen to 2.5. Shop around at -3. If they win by a field goal, it's obviously just going to void. But shop around for that 2.5 number, man, and bet the Falcons at home, man. They've looked good in primetime. Obviously, this is not a primetime game, but they do look good at home. And And bet the over as well, man. That's a lock, man. This game's going to be a shootout. The Seahawks defense is atrocious, and we know that Kirk Cousins can drop 300 to 500. I didn't know he had 500 in the arsenal, but could be one of those weeks, man. You saw what Jared Goff just did against the Seahawks team a couple weeks ago. I believe that's the game that he didn't throw a single incompletion. The next game, man, the Bills are hosting the Titans. The Bills are the biggest favorite. Actually, they're tied. The Bills are one of the biggest favorites this week. They're laying 9.5 points, hosting the Titans for obvious reasons. Man, the Bills have been in a little bit of a slump, man, but obviously they got their kicks back. They got their bounce back last week. And anybody could see that coming, man. Josh Allen doesn't lose twice in a row. There was no way that he was going to lose 3 times in a row. That was kind of an easy pick. I believe that the Titans are finally moving away from Will Levis, which hurts my heart a little bit. But honestly, fuck him. He's been horrible, and they should. But I don't think Mason Rudolph's any better either. And the Titans are pretty much ruining the prime of Calvin Ridley's career by not having a better quarterback for him. And I feel bad for DeAndre Hopkins because he's only got a few games left, man. He's been around for a long time. So, man, I like the Bills minus 9.5. But surprisingly, with a spread that big, I actually kind of like the under. The Titans, you think about what they do best. It's their defense. They have the number 1 pass defense in the NFL, and I know that the Bills just got Amari Cooper. I think that Josh Allen's going to have some success. I don't think that James Cook goes wild. I don't think he runs wild against the Titans like he did against the Dolphins in primetime. But I do think that the Bills are able to muster up 25 to 30 points, and I don't see the Titans scoring above 10. So if this is a 30 to 10 game, obviously that's going to put us under the 41.5 mark, man. So I can see them winning by 20 and still finishing under 41.5. My biggest fear, just like the other game, is that the Bills could drop 47 by themselves. I know the Titans defense is good. I just said that, but man, the Bills have all the pieces. Just which version of them shows up. The next game, the Browns are hosting the Bengals, and Joe Burrow is 0-4 in Cleveland. If the radio station that I was listening to is correct, and I'm sure that they did their homework, they said that he is 0-5 on the road in Cleveland, and I think that they said that he's 1-6 against Cleveland in his career, maybe 1-5 overall against Cleveland in his career. Traditionally, Joe Burrow does not play well in this game, especially on the road. He's yet to win in Cleveland. But it's got to happen sometime, right? And what better time than now? He's got to get this first win. So, obviously, the Bengals are favorites, but I got this locked up, man. If this was 7.5 or 7.5, 9.5, something like that, I would probably take the Browns. The Bengals are just so much more desperate than the Eagles were. Not to mention, man, Joe Burrow hasn't won in Cleveland. That's got to be weighing on him. That's got to be eating at him. T. Higgins looks good. Jamar Chase had a shitty week last week. He got strapped up. He got locked down. I do not expect that to happen 2 weeks in a row. I know that Nick Chubb is making a return. I don't know how much he's going to be able to go, but they just got rid of their best pass catcher. Okay? And David Njoku's still not healthy. So I just don't see the Browns being able to withstand the firepower that the Bengals could potentially pour on them. But with that being said, the Bengals defense is shitty. So I like the Bengals. I'm locking it up to cover that 6. I think that they win by at least a touchdown easily. And I've also locked up the over, man. Parlay that together if you want to add a little extra juice. Bet them both separately, but then little 2-leggers, nice every now and then. So I really like the over 41.5 in this game. And despite the Myles Garrett and Charvarius Ward, all the guys that you think of from this Browns defense, they're just not performing this year, man. They're just not. So, and the Bengals are obviously atrocious. It maybe even Deshaun Watson's sorry ass can carve them up. Definitely like the over here too. The next game on the slate, the Packers are hosting the Texans, man. This is going to be another shootout. The Texans have a much, much, much better defense when they're healthy. They're missing 2 guys in the secondary this week. There's a lot of guys listed on the Packers injury report, but they were all full or limited participants as of yesterday. As of Friday, so they're probably definitely going to be playing. But, man, the Texans' defense is missing 3 to 4 key pieces, especially 2 in the secondary. The Packers are obviously balanced ground and air attack, but there's too many weapons. It'd be different if this was a team like what the Browns had with Cooper, where pretty much if you lock him up, the other guys are mid. Man, all these guys are explosive for the Packers. They all are explosive. So I just don't think that there's any way that the Texans are going to be able to cover all of them. Not to mention if they do back off, man, they got Josh Jacobs. So not to mention the Packers are at home. As much as I love this Texan squad, as much as I love C.J. Stroud, I just don't think that this is the spot for it, man. And the Packers have been dumping 35 to 50 on everybody. And even though I know the Texans can do that, they really haven't. So I like the over. I like the potential shootout, but the Packers get it done. The Packers are -3 in this game. I didn't lock that up just because of the explosiveness of the Texans, but I did lock up the 48.5. I doubled down on that for sure. And if you are interested in the money line, it's plus 124 for the Texans, but I'm not taking that. And this next game is a who gives a shit special, man. The Colts are playing the Dolphins. I don't care about anybody on any of these teams as long as Tua is still out with his concussion and as long as AR5 is in the lineup, man. Don't trust it. Don't care. Ultimately, the Colts do have the better roster. As bad as AR5 is, he's better than Huntley, who's only been there for 2 weeks now. Tyreek Hill has completely disappeared. Waddle has completely disappeared, and because these defenses don't have to back up, man, they're loading the box, and even A-Chain and Mostert and Jalen Wright, these guys can't get anything going in the ground game either. Even though the Colts can't stop the run, that's really all they have to worry about here, man. So if a team is going to become one-dimensional, makes these defenses so much more able to control their weapons. I like the Colts to win by at least a field goal, and if you really want to get crazy, I wouldn't. But if you really wanted to get crazy, I mean, you could obviously create an alt spread ladder with this one too, man. I don't think that it's outside of the realm of possibilities that the Colts end up winning this game by 20 points or more. So, with that being said, man, the Dolphins' offense is atrocious, and our 5 is averaging 49% completion percentage. So this offense just looks totally off without Joe Flacco in the lineup, man. You're going to see a complete collapse of the passing game. Not only that, man, Jonathan Taylor's out this week. All reasons that you could potentially like the Dolphins more, but I don't care. The Colts are the better team for sure. Trey Sermon looks okay, but because the Colts' weapons are banged up and their quarterback sucks, and the Dolphins don't have their $200 million quarterback, I really like the under here, man. The under number sitting at 43.5. I think that's easy pickings, man. I lock that up. And if you're interested in the Dolphins, they're plus 130 on the money line. The Vikings are hosting the Lions, man. This is my favorite game of the 1 o'clock slate. And this is also my first Money-Line dog that I'm locking up, man. I locked up the Lions. They're only getting 1.5 on the road. I think that says something considering the Vikings record. The Vikings are also rested. They just come off of a bye week. It kind of sucks that they were doing so well and they were getting so hot, and then they had their bye week. It's going to kind of reset, potentially kind of knock off some of the steam they had built up. But, man, I just think that the Lions are going to play inspired football because they lost their leader. They lost their captain, Aiden Hutchinson, man. MCDC is in there motherfucking everybody telling them they better step their ass up because Hutchinson is not going to be there to save their ass. So I think the Lions play inspired football. As good as the Vikings have performed as a team, their offense has really kind of been struggling lately. They've been putting points on the board, but that's because their defense is playing so well. They're getting the ball in favorable spots on the field, man. They're not having to travel the full distance to get points. So the Lions' offense is balanced. They're starting to click, man. Inspired football, dude. I love it, but it is a divisional game, so I like the under here. The number's actually set all the way up at 50.5. I don't like that at all for a NFC North rival game. That's silly to me, dude. Doesn't make any sense. Way too many points. And the lines are super, super marginal on the money line. They're only plus 102, but still counts. So hopefully they get it done, man. The Giants are hosting the Eagles. The Giants are getting 3.5 points at home. I still don't think that the Giants are getting the respect that they deserve. And I'm not saying that we need to crown them or anything. They're not going to come anywhere close to winning this division, but at home they play well. Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles are kind of crumbling, man. He's having a Britney Spears come apart, dude, yelling at the fans, shaving his fucking head. Did he put on 100 pounds over the last couple weeks? I did not know he was that big. I really didn't. But man, it's just something's off with the Eagles, man. Their locker room. The head coach, the quarterback dynamic. I know A.J. Brown's back, and he looks like A.J. Brown, but Malik Neighbors is also returning from his concussion. Malik Neighbors is the number one wide receiver in all of football right now, as fantasy speaking, but real football too. I mean, the guy's scoring touchdowns seemingly every game. He's 10 to 12 targets a game. I mean, Malik Neighbors has been balling, and Wan'Dale Robinson, thank God for him, making the Kentucky alumni look a little bit better. If Wan'Dale Robinson can stay healthy too, man, he's getting 10 to 12 targets a game as well. Daniel Jones doesn't look bad, and even though Devin Singletary is banged up, that rookie Tyrone Tracy Jr. looks pretty damn good. He really does. So I like the fact that the Giants are getting more than a field goal. The 3.5 number is very, very important to me. So I can see it coming down to a field goal, and I love that hook. So if you're only getting 2.5 or 3, look around, because you can probably get a 3.5. I also like the over here. The Eagles' defense really has not been that good. And the Giants can definitely put up some points. And the Giants' defense does look pretty good, but when you're going against Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley and their whole wide receiver core is finally healthy again, they are missing Dallas Goedert, but that obviously kind of sucks. But either way, man, I like the over in this game a lot. I think the Eagles have too many weapons for the Giants defense to be able to handle. And the Giants are actually surprisingly pretty damn good on offense. So I like the over here, man. I locked it up, and I locked the Giants up on the money line too. I know that I said I like that plus 3.5. I'm comfortable betting that plus 3.5, but I'm not afraid at all to take the Giants to win this game at home outright. I saw an Eagles collapse coming preseason, and I'm gonna keep riding it out, man. As long as they're playing against decent competitions, especially these division games, man, on the road. The first game of the 4 o'clock slate, man, the Rams are hosting the Raiders. This is kind of a shit show bowl. Cooper Kupp's eligible to come back this week. I'm not really sure if he's playing or not, but the Rams are favored by a touchdown at home. Puka Nacua is definitely not going to be on the football field. Cooper Kupp, if he does play, how much can he go? Higbee's obviously still hurt. Tutu Atwell's been stepping up. Kyron Williams is balling. But Sean McVay really hasn't been in his bag offensively. And defensively, they're shitty. The Raiders could be a little bit of addition by subtraction. It's just not that Devontae Adams was the problem necessarily, but the drama's gone now. The what-ifs are gone now. Maybe they can finally just focus on football. Zamir White's still a piece of shit for what he has done this year, averaging 2.5 yards a carry. Man, I'm so pissed at the Raiders, dude. I thought that at least the only thing they'd be able to do is run the football, and they can't even do that. But with that being said, man, I'm actually taking the Raiders plus a touchdown here. They're getting 7 points on the road. The Rams, aside from that miraculous win against the 49ers, dude, they've looked like dog shit. And for obvious reasons, I'm taking the under in this game, man. Both offenses are beat up, inept, you name it. The over-under is set at 43.5. I don't think it sniffs that. I didn't lock it, but I'm going to. I'm not confident enough to bet the Raiders on the money line, though. I'm not doing all that. The number's plus 275. It's a little juicy. It's tempting, but not going to do it. If they were at home, maybe. The Commanders are hosting the Panthers. This is the other game that is a 9.5-point spread. Again, for obvious reasons. And I actually really struggled with this, though. I say for obvious reasons because what Jaden Daniels is accomplishing, man, they're putting up 35 to 40 points on everybody. But the problem is they're getting gutted by everybody, too. And if you look, man, Andy Dalton hasn't played great over the last couple weeks, man, but he's still got it in him. They've had some injuries going on. Their defense is just as bad as the Commanders is. I think that the Commanders can easily score on anybody in the league, but I think that the Panthers can get their offense going here too, man. They're not quite ready to bring Jonathan Brooks back yet, but Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders, man, they're going to hold it down. I expect the Panthers to put up points. I expect the Commanders to put up points. But at the end of the day, man, I think that Jaden Daniels protects the ball. It's hard to say that he's a better decision maker than Andy Dalton, but he's more dynamic at this point. So where he might lack in quote unquote decision making, he's going to make up for it just with his impromptu athleticism, man. I think at the end of the day, this is a shootout. The over-under is set at 51.5. I'm definitely locking that up, man. This could end up being a 42-30 type of game. But I think at the end of the day, man, the Commanders just look too explosive right now, just too consistently explosive right now going against a bad defense. I don't like laying 9.5 with a team with a bad defense. It doesn't make much sense. But in this case, man, I'm going to. I didn't lock it up. That's a little high. But the over 51.5 definitely locked that up. Then you have the 49ers hosting the Chiefs, man. As much as I hate to say it, I kind of get the feeling that the Chiefs might catch their first L here, but Mahomes is unreal as an underdog. If you look at his record as an underdog, man, it's like he thrives in this shit. They were worried last season when he had to play his first playoff games away from Arrowhead. Man, they ate that shit up, dude. They went into Buffalo, punked their ass, and went to Baltimore, punked their ass. Now they go into San Francisco, a team who they embarrassed in the Super Bowl twice now. And I know that the 49ers are going to be just on edge, ready to get their payback. But neither team's healthy. The 49ers are actually more healthy, even though they're missing Christian McCaffrey. But the Chiefs are missing Isaiah Pacheco. They both found quality running backs to replace them, but I cannot bet against Patrick Mahomes. I cannot bet against Andy Reid. And I can't bet against Mahomes as an underdog. You're giving me plus money with Mahomes and Andy Reid. I just cannot. I cannot look away from that, man. Lock up the plus 1.5, but really it's irrelevant. Lock up the money line. It's only plus 102, just like the Lions game was, but I don't give a shit. That's an easy double up in my opinion. Again, this is a familiar foe. Neither team has their best weapons. We saw that every time somebody falls out of this Chiefs offense, man, somebody comes in. I thought it was going to be Xavier Worthy last week. I thought it was going to be Justin Watson, but Juju Smith-Schuster makes a reemergence. I mean, it just doesn't matter what happens to this Chiefs team, man. They find a way. Kyle Shanahan is... He's Andy Reid's bitch, dude. Andy Reid's his daddy, so until he proves otherwise, man, I can't take him, not even at home. Then you got the Steelers and the Jets, man. This is just a easy under. Until you remember that Russell Wilson's going to make a start this week. I don't know what to expect, but he's going to throw the ball a lot more. What does that do? That stops the clock, incompletions, okay? So this game is going to be drug out a little bit more. So when you consider that the Pittsburgh offense is probably going to be a little bit more pass heavy than it's been, the clock's not going to be running quite so fast. On top of that, the Jets just got their boy. They just locked in Devontae Adams. He don't fucking need to practice with Aaron Rodgers, man. They can go in the backyard, make a head nod, and hit the seam, hit the go route, hit the back shoulder fade, man. They can do it all with just by looking at each other. I don't think that the Jets are going to be able to run the ball at all. I have no idea what they're doing with Breece Hall. I really don't. But when you factor in the clock is not going to be running so fast, and you factor in the Jets just got Aaron Rodgers' boy, I like the over, actually. The over number set at 39.5. This can get to 40 easy, man. Both these teams have been under City pretty much all season long, but the dynamics changed this week. So lock in the over, man. I feel really good about that. With that being said, the Jets are on the road here. They are actually laying 1.5 on the road. I think that this would have been a -2.5 for the Steelers, but you couple the Russell Wilson, the question marks there, which I don't really understand the move anyways, but I think that if it wasn't for the Russell Wilson move, this would easily be Steelers -2.5 at home all day long. But the situation's changed, man, and the Jets are desperate, dude. The Steelers have kind of been playing over their head. They've been getting wins that they really have no business getting. So the Jets are absolutely desperate. It's do or die. I have lost like 4 out of 6 weeks on the Jets so far this season. I keep betting on them, though. I'm not ready to write off a Mount Rushmore quarterback yet, man. My Mount Rushmore, okay? Fuck off. Not your Mount Rushmore. I think that Aaron Rodgers is a top 4 quarterback of all time, and I don't care if he's a shell of himself or not. I don't care if he looks slow. I don't care about any of that shit. It's got to click eventually, man. Probably the best quality game that you're going to get this week, man, is the Buccaneers hosting the Ravens. Both these teams have been extremely high offensively. Not so much defensively, man. The Ravens have been getting gutted through the air. The Buccaneers have been getting burned by land and sea and air and everything, with just their defense being decimated. Ultimately, you look at what these two teams do best. Not really a good matchup here for the Buccaneers, man. At home, they're getting 3.5 points. Not a good sign for a team that scores as much as they do, especially considering their aerial attack is what they do best, and the Ravens are shitty against the pass. So why are they getting 3.5 points here? The reason that they're getting 3.5 points is because they have not had a team yet that's going to refuse to go tit for tat with them. They're not going to have a team try to stand back and outduel Baker Mayfield. They're not going to do that with Lamar Jackson. They're going to keep Baker and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans the fuck off the field. They can't do anything from the sidelines. They have finally figured out how to get Derrick Henry moving downhill. They have finally got Lamar Jackson playing under center, looking like a proficient quarterback. He is well on his way to a 3rd MVP, and this one he might actually deserve. That's not really necessarily a slight, but if you look at all the quarterbacks that got hurt last season, man, if it wasn't for that, there's no way in hell Lamar Jackson gets the MVP last season. He only had like maybe 30 total touchdowns and like 2,800 yards passing. I don't remember the exact numbers, man, but they were not MVP numbers, not at all. Not considering, I think back to 5,000 plus yards with Brady and Manning, and I think about the 48 touchdown record with Marino. Then you think about the 49 with Peyton, and then you think about the 50 touchdown with Tom Brady, man. When you're comparing the 5,000 yard seasons, the 50 touchdowns to 3,000 yards passing and 30 touchdowns, man, it's not a knock. But this season, Lamar Jackson is chewing everything. He is averaging probably close to his career high as far as passing yards per game. Definitely close to his rushing yards per game. And they've never had a running back average this many yards per game. The Baltimore Ravens are typically an ugly it up, squeak it out on defense, do enough to get by offensively. But if Lamar Jackson can't carry the load and do it all by himself, they fail. This year, it's not like that. So the reason that I'm going in so hard on the Ravens here, man, is that the Buccaneers just are not going to be on the field. And that could cause a little bit of rhythm issues in their offense. And when you throw the ball 70% of the time, not really, but it seems like it, when you throw the ball that many times and you're going to spend 8 to 10 game clock minutes on the bench, that's a recipe for a lot of 3-and-outs, man. I have a feeling that this could get ugly, man. The Buccaneers have been pouring 50 points lately. I just don't think that that's going to be the case this week. They're just not simply going to have the ball enough. The over-under in this game is 49.5. I originally had circled the over on the 49.5. That's mainly because I think that the Ravens can probably get to 35 to 38 by themselves. The Buccaneers' defense is horrible. So even as much as I think that the Buccaneers are going to have a less than average performance offensively, they'll still probably get 20, 23, 24, somewhere in that range. But ultimately, I think that the Ravens can easily put up 35 to 38 points on this Buccaneers defense. So I still like the over. I just don't think that the Buccaneers are going to be able to stay within a touchdown here. So I like the Ravens minus 3.5. I didn't double up on this one, though, because the Bucs are at home and they do have an explosive offense. But definitely locking up the over, man. There's going to be some points here. Our very last game of the week, man, the Cardinals are hosting the Chargers. The Cardinals are 2-point underdogs at home. They've been out of sync, man, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is banged up, their best weapon. James Conner's healthy. Trey McBride's seemingly healthy. Michael Wilson seems to be healthy. But their best weapon by far is Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know how much he's going to be able to do, man. He's coming off of a concussion. But we'll see there. The Chargers are very, very good against the run. So if this is going to be more of a game where James Conner and Kyler Murray have to do it more with their feet, this is a bad matchup with the Chargers, man. Not to mention, the Cardinals are not playing very well on defense right now, despite having Jonathan Gannon, who's a defensive-minded head coach. They do not look good on defense at all. And even though I think that Justin Herbert does not get enough shit for how bad he plays, how average and mid his numbers are, I still think that they're going to be able to do enough on the ground, playing keep away with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, and hell, even Kamani Vidal, to win this game by a field goal. I mean, the spread in this is -2. I think I got it at 1.5 on FanDuel, even 2.5. It's a field goal. So I feel good about that, man. I locked that up for sure. Now, if Marvin Harrison's going to play, I might question that. I might not end up doubling up on it. Just something to monitor there. But regardless, man, I think overall, when you factor in the defense and everything else that the Chargers have going, they definitely have the head coach advantage. That's for damn sure. Don't care about the Chargers being on the road. Teams that play good defense and run the football, they can play anywhere, man, especially in Arizona, in a dome on a nice field, dude. I think the Chargers are going to be running wild in Arizona, man. I really do. With that being said, though, the Chargers just don't play a style of offense that really generates a whole lot of points. And since they do play such good defense and the Cardinals are kind of don't really know if I can trust that there. The over-under, when I printed this out, was under 44. You could get 44, 44.5, 43. Either way, I don't think that this number sniffs 40. I think that this is potentially like a 19 to 14, something weird type of ball game, man. But ultimately, the Chargers are definitely going to get this done by a field goal, man. And there's a lot of locks on this page. I only have 3 Money-Line Underdog picks this week, which is strange, but that's kind of how cookie cutter and cut and dry these spreads are, man. I think that the teams that are favored are clearly favored for a reason, and the teams that are underdogs are clearly underdogs for a reason. There's not too many weeks where I'm going to go this chalk. The majority of the teams that I bet against the spread are all to cover. There's only 4 teams that I bet getting points, and only 3 of those I picked on the money line. Obviously, the other one being the Raiders. I'm not taking them on the money line on the road. I'm telling you, man, it's going to be an interesting day of football today, man. I'm so fucking pumped, man. I know that the players don't really like playing in London, but I tell you what, I don't give a shit. They're millionaires. And as a fan, when I get to start watching football at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, oh yeah. I'm winning, okay? You get the 9:30 slate, rolls into the 1, rolls into the 4, rolls into the night game, man. It's just all day long of football, dude. Sometimes when they take these games away, man, wait until 1 o'clock seems like it is forever. So, man, I'm excited to get this uploaded. I'm excited to get it posted, man. Y'all check it out. I'll have it up with plenty of time for you guys to make your picks before the Jaguars kick off at 9:30. So make sure that you take into account some of the things that I said, man, but do your own research. But most importantly, man, bet smart, dude. Bet straight, bet smart. Sprinkle a little bit on a couple oddball things here or there. But don't try to get rich quick overnight, man. Let's bleed Vegas slowly, all right? Good luck this weekend, man. Let's have a hell of a week 7. See you.
How you play the game with the people that writing the rules? Ain't the fame that I'm after when paying the dues. I've been through the pain that's reflected in the attitude. Might be winning now, but the thing is that I had to lose. So go and tell me what you really want to do. And lonely at the top, cause there ain't a lot of room. Ain't no other option, it's all I ever knew. So I'ma get it poppin', you know how I'ma do. I've been down through the blood and the sweat. Guarantee you can know I'm a threat. Up and down